So they posted a new look at Ironheart, which, by the way, looks good. I still feel like Ironheart is one of the better looking promos for a Marvel TV show.
They actually have a couple new photos that came out a couple hours ago. If you
oh, really? Okay, yeah. If you have the link, we can look at those. But all Discussing Film did the other day was they posted this picture here of Riri with the mask on and off. And it says, new look at Ironheart premiering June 24th on Disney+. Only because I don't know what's going to be in the comment section, I'm not going to scroll through it, but I can assure you it is awful. It is absolutely disgustingly awful comments about her. There are some of the most racist stuff I've seen in a long time in reference to Marvel.
Yeah.
I also want to point out, this is an original character. This isn't her as Iron Man. This isn't her replacing another white character. This is just a character from the comics who was inspired by Iron Man and wanted to make her own set of armor. She's a very smart character. She has her own backstory. I don't understand what the issue is.
And by the way, that's what they asked for, right? Their main argument for all these years has been make original characters. Don't just recast the white characters.
Right.
Okay, here it is. An original character that's not a recast.
I would argue, Darren, that the vast majority of characters created in Marvel from like 2015 on have been like pseudo-original characters.
Yeah.
And they've still rejected most of them. So it's just weird to me that this transitionary period where characters were coming in inspired by this is a character who was inspired by Tony Stark, inspired by Iron Man, and decided, I want to use my intelligence to follow in the footsteps of this other character, and created her own identity and became Ironheart. She's not an Iron Man replacement. Even if people feel like she is, she's not. She's her own character.
Never met the guy.
And you're right. They've asked for original characters. This isn't Riri Williams taking over for a white Riri Williams. This is literally the character from the comics. And so Andrew here says, I have to be honest that we were not aware of how vile and explicitly racist the replies to this post became in the last 22 hours. It's a simple new look at a show, and yet it's still got way too out of hand. Replies are now closed, and many accounts have been blocked. Let's read what else he has to say here. Discussing Film does not tolerate racism, sexism, or any kind of hate speech. Admittedly, we should have been faster with catching it on this post. This website and certain fandoms can already be so toxic, but we're going to try harder and ensure this doesn't happen. Managing an account with 2+ million followers can be tricky, but if users on this app cannot behave, then we'll have no problem closing replies on every single post related to the show. We don't want to associate Discussing Film with that kind of engagement and toxic community building. I have to say, I total respect for me for calling this out.
Yeah.
With Andrew here. He says, ultimately, we cannot promise the hate speech will never be in the Discussing Film replies. After all, look who owns this website. But what we can promise is that we'll always be there to squash it and find a way to make sure that real fans have a place to share their opinions. But what he's saying here, what Andrew is saying, is that you're not going to say it under our post. That is totally his right. That's the whole point of the block feature. It's the whole point of the locked account feature. Again, I don't know why people so emotionally and passionately want to be racist. Why do you want to be those things? That's my question. What is the motivation to be those things? Why? What's the point? At a certain point, people are arguing to be able to use like the N-word under posts like this.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
We talked about about a month ago, Eric, over in my thing, where I said, every once in a while, politics will meet the entertainment world, and this is one of those times. The world was just given a giant go-ahead to be terrible people.
Right.
There's someone that says, oh, you can find success in being a bigot, in being an asshole, in being a racist, homophobic fucker. That just plain simple. When I had such a pit in my stomach this morning when I saw this, or whenever it came out, and I saw the future. I did.
Yeah.
I saw the future because, like, oh, this is going to be the sequel to She-Hulk. This
Right.
is going to be a project that, before a trailer, before our first look, before it comes out, you're going to have 1,000 videos online saying
Right.
how it's ruined Marvel, how it's the worst thing that's been made ever. And like with She-Hulk, I think there's going like I don't agree at all. But I think deep down I can kind of understand some of the criticism for She-Hulk, right? I get that. There's nothing to criticize here. That's just a black person. The only thing you could possibly criticize is the color of her skin.
Well, because we have no context. That's the thing, is when you break it down, if you are mad at a picture of a black woman in fighting armor, and the only issue you have with it is that it's a black woman, there's no criticism there other than racism. This isn't somebody her name is not, Annie Stark. It's not like they took Tony Stark and turned him into a black woman. That's not what they did here. So you're not even criticizing that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy to me. And this is one of the times where I hate that if you would have came and visited my channel 6 years ago,
sure,
we would have almost no reason to ever talk about politics when it comes to the stuff we're watching.
Sure. Because
it was all allegory. It was all, parallels. It was all, that was the way we talked about it, that was what we were dealing with. Now we can't even enjoy a fun TV show with a Marvel character in it without racist people coming in and being the worst versions of themselves.
Yeah. Back when Falcon and the Winter Soldier came out, there was a whole bunch of people who didn't like the themes of racism and stuff in that show because they're like, I just don't like politics in my movies. And like, I think on a basic level, I understand that. I really do.
I don't have a problem with that either. I think that's a fine statement to make. Like, I get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the big argument I kept hearing was like, well, we've moved past that. We don't need that kind of representation as much. And maybe at the time, maybe you had a leg to stand on. Mm-hmm. This proves you're wrong. This proves that statement was wrong. Because this proves we need more representation in every aspect. I need Hollywood to double down on everything. Because they clearly have not learned. That has not got through their head.
The problem is you can't say that we've gone past racism and then still have people doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think people truly understand. Because so if you say we move past racism and people are still doing this, their response would be blaming the victims of racism. Well, you caused us to do this because you want to be in everything. You want to be in every movie and every TV show. So your justification for bringing racism back is because clearly, in their opinion, black people are not supposed to be in these positions. Mm-hmm. So how did we move past it? Honestly, how did we get past it? If you truly didn't care about it, why are you advocating for it now? You shouldn't be saying anything.
How many black-led Marvel movies are there? 3, maybe?
Right.
Out of almost 50?
Oh, we've gone over this. Just like with the woman-led movies, it's still not that many.
No. I mean, oh my gosh, like, I can go down the rabbit hole of, like, there's too much, like, queer rep in Disney. Name, like, 3 queer Disney movies. Name 2.
Right.
You can't do it.
I've done the same thing with Darren. Like I've done the same thing, Darren. Like, I've gone in where people have criticized this, and they'll say, oh, there are gay and trans people in everything, right?
Where?
Well, that's what I say. Name 5 things in the last decade that have done that have been major films or TV shows. Name them.
Yeah.
They never can.
Yeah.
They never can. So that's what I'm saying. Like, all of this complaining is just outrage stuff. It's just to be angry and mad and upset about stuff. That's all it is.